All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are going on a journey from total chaos to crystal clarity. We're diving deep into performance marketing, and we're going to transform that feeling of hoping your marketing works into the absolute confidence of knowing it does. So let me just ask you this. It's the one question that probably keeps you up at night. Is your marketing actually working? You're spending the money, you're putting in all the effort, but can you really truly say it's making a difference? Because let's be honest, for a lot of us, it can really feel like we're just guessing. Throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall and just hoping something sticks. Well, today we are going to talk about how to stop guessing and finally start knowing for sure. And that brings us to our first big idea here, marketing in the dark. This is all about that super frustrating challenge of pouring your time and money into marketing without really having a clue what you're getting back. I mean, just think about all the things you do. You're running ads, you're crafting those perfect emails, you're posting all over social media. It feels really productive, right? But if you're not measuring it, it's basically like shouting into a huge empty canyon and just hoping somebody out there hears you. You have no idea which echo was the one that actually mattered. So, how in the world do we fix this? Well, we're about to find our metrics. This is all about flipping on the lights, and we're going to do it with a really powerful approach called performance marketing. At its heart, performance marketing is actually pretty simple. It's about trading in your gut feelings for actual concrete information. So instead of just feeling like a campaign is doing well, you use hard data about what your customers are really doing to guide every single decision. And this slide right here is where it all starts to click. On the left, you've got the super vague goal, right? Be more popular online. I mean, what does that even mean? But look at the right. Now we have a specific, measurable key performance indicator, a KPI. Increase followers by 1,000 this month. That's not vague at all. You either hit that number or you don't. It's crystal clear. And that's the whole point of a KPI. It's not just some random number you pull out of thin air. It's a very specific measurement that tells you point blank if you're on the right track to hit your big goal. It's literally the scoreboard for your marketing. And speaking of scoreboards, here's one of the most powerful KPIs you can possibly track: return on ad spend, or ROAS for short. This metric just cuts right to the chase. It answers the one question that really matters. For every single dollar I pumped into advertising, how many dollars did I get back in sales? It's the ultimate proof of whether that ad budget was worth it. Okay, so this is where things get really interesting. We're tracking our performance with metrics like ROS, that's great. But what happens when lots of different marketing efforts are involved? That opens up a brand new, kind of tricky question. Who gets the credit? Let's dive into the puzzle of marketing attribution. Just imagine this for a second. Let's say a customer sees your awesome post on social media. A week later, they're thinking about it, they search for your product online, and they click on your ad. Then they get an email from you with a little discount, and boom, they finally buy. So, who gets the credit for that sale? Was it the social post that started it all, the ad, or that final email?
And that puzzle we just talked about, that is what attribution is all about. It's the system you use to figure out how to assign credit to each of those little touch points along the way so you know what's really making people buy.
Now, there are a few different ways to solve this puzzle, and this table lays them out perfectly. For instance, with a first-click model, that social media post that first caught their eye gets all the credit. That's awesome for figuring out what grabs people's attention. But with last click, the email that sealed the deal gets 100% of the credit. That shows you what's closing sales. And then there's a linear model, where you just split the credit evenly between the post, the ad, and the email. It gives you a more balanced look at the whole journey. See? Each model tells a completely different story. So, okay, we've got the data. We even know how to give credit where credit is due. But let's face it, a spreadsheet full of raw numbers isn't exactly inspiring, is it? So for our next section, we're going to talk about the most important step of all, turning that data into actual stories. This is such a critical skill. Data storytelling is all about taking what you learned from those numbers and weaving it all into a story, a narrative that your boss, your team, your clients can actually understand, remember, and then do something about. And the best part is you can break it down into 3 really simple steps. First, you just find the so what in your data. What's the one big takeaway? Second, you build a simple story around it. Here's where we were, here's what we found, and here's what we should do next. And finally, you visualize it. Use some clean charts and graphs to make that story absolutely unforgettable. Now, before we wrap this up, we have to talk about something that's incredibly important. All of this data collection, it comes with a pretty serious responsibility. These are the absolute, non-negotiable rules of the road. You've all heard the line, right? With great power comes great responsibility. Well, it is so true. And in marketing, data is that power. When your customers give you their data, what they're really giving you is their trust. And protecting that trust is everything.
So first up, you have data privacy. This is basically the law. It's about the rights that people have to control their own personal information. It is your legal duty to be transparent and to keep the data you collect safe and secure.
But then, there's something that goes even deeper than the law, and that's data ethics. This asks a much bigger question. Just because you can do something with data, should you? It's about thinking through the moral side of things and always trying to do what's fair and right by your customers. So, when it all comes down to it, here's the bottom line. Performance marketing gives you these incredible tools to finally understand what's working and what isn't. The numbers you're collecting, they're telling you a story about your customers, a story about your business. The only question left is, are you ready to listen?